I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of race number 18, Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. As we get ready here today to go racing for 88 laps at the Chicago Motor Speedway. This is a racetrack that has been on the schedule ever since the inception of the series back in Season 1. We've had 6 different drivers go to victory lane. All 6 of them are in the field here today. One of them is starting on the outside of this front row. We'll get to him in just a moment. Let's put a little highlight on our 18th different pole sitter on the season, and that is Rob Evans having a career year. He's still looking for that first career checkered flag, but he gets the pole position here today. This is a racetrack that a lot of times is all about track position, starting track position, so maybe this is the key ingredient maybe in the recipe to getting that first checkered flag for Rob Evans. We'll have to wait and see. Rob Evans coming into this race second in overall points. It's been a back and forth between him and rookie Casey Hoyt for that points lead. Evans comes into this one behind 13 points, but good starting track position here today. And he's got about, I believe on the grid, roughly 13 points, 12, 13 points up on Casey Hoyt when they take the green flag. So right there, the two of them would be basically tied up for the points lead once more. Roberto Crown Jr. making his first start on the season. Of course, we saw Roberto Crown Jr. running in the part-time schedule with the 3 drivers per car back in Season 5. He was in number 78 along with Ryan Butcher and Alexander Rowe. Roberto Crown Jr. went to victory lane twice in that season, and one of those victories was right here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. So he is a former winner at this racetrack, driving in the non-charter entry out of Haas Racing here this week. It's the second time that a driver other than Matthew Rodriguez has fielded the car in the last 3 weeks and qualified up inside of the top 5. Remember, Benny Watson qualified very well and then ended up running very well in the Dover race. I believe that was 2 weeks ago. So good car apparently fielded out of Haas Racing, no matter who is behind the wheel. Carson Gum is going to roll up from the 3rd position. Carson coming to this race 22nd in points. His last couple of finishes have looked really good aside from last week. Some struggles at Iowa, but Dover he looked really competitive. He looked good as well at M&M Super Speedway, so a little bump in the road for him last week. Maybe he can overcome that today. And then Benjamin Miles has been a qualifying machine the last few weeks. I believe 3 out of the last 4 weeks he has qualified up inside of the top 10. And he is going to be starting inside the top 5 for this one. Benjamin Miles coming to this race 36th in the points standings. That team's still looking for their first top 5 on the year. Let's take a look at your playoff points coming into this one. Notable name missing, not only from the starting lineup later on, but also your playoff grid is 2-time winner, the defending Daytona 500 winner. That is Matthew Rodriguez. He comes into this race below the cut line, 32nd in points, 10 points out of the top 30, and he failed to make the show last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say. So he is going to lose even more points. It may be the second season in a row where the Daytona 500 winner does not make it into the playoffs. Dollarton was the first one to do that, and that was, of course, last season. But you see the top 10, nothing really changed as far as the drivers that are in the top 10. A couple of positions changed. James Qualls, with his second victory in a row last week at Iowa, jumps up 3 spots to the 4 seed, and Dylan Pote dropped 3 spots down to the 6th seed. But everything else, for the most part, stayed the same. The place where it really kind of shook up was in the wild card positions, because now Connor Breton is the highest running of the 2-time winners, so he has the number 1 seed for the wild card drivers. Jessica Shelton is just barely above the cut line by 1 point, 29th in overall standings, so she is still mathematically in the second wild card seed. And then it comes down to 1-time winners for the final few spots. Dylan Young, who's 12th in overall points, Caleb Fogler, who's 14th, Zachary Fitzwater, who is 17th, and Kyler Sustre, who is 25th. Everybody that you see featured on that grid right there are all drivers that are inside of the top 30 in the point standings right now as far as our former winners. The only one outside the top 30, as we already talked about just moments ago, is Matthew Rodriguez. Kyler Sustre is in the field here this week. We saw him miss the show back at Dover. That put him down around the cut line. He picked up a few spots last week to be able to climb up to 25th. He's got 14 points between himself and the cut line, and he looks to increase that gap here today. But all these stories may mean absolutely nothing by the time the conclusion of this race comes around, and we're ready to get this thing kicked off as we go down trackside and prepare ourselves for those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Nice smooth. Be there at the end. The long race, we just got to stay in contention. No mistakes. That's the big key. No mistakes today. We get up there, we get in the top 10, we ride, we ride, we ride. That's what we got to do today.
A lot of different drivers have started on the pole position. A lot of different teams have been represented on the inside of the front row, and sometimes with multiple drivers out of their respective teams. Rob Evans becomes the first driver out of the Evans Motorsports stable to capture a pole this season. See the starting lineup on the right side of your screen. 42 drivers ready to take the green flag here today in this one. If I can remember off the top of my head, the 6 previous winners in this event, we already talked about Roberto Crown Jr., also Matt Haas, Jose Mills, Dylan Young, RJ Bishop. Oh, I got 5 of the 6. I'll think of the other one here in just a moment. As we get ready to go green flag racing here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, Rob Evans gets us under the green. Nathan Ormond was the other one. I knew I would think of him as, wow, that was really tight right there. Carson Gum looked like he wanted to dive bomb it in. Roberto Crown Jr. trying to swing around the outside, and he's going to do so. Roberto Crown Jr., the longer way around the racetrack, but had that good diamond off of turn 2, got the good straightaway speed. He'll go to the top position, and Benjamin Miles is going to try and move into second, alongside of Rob Evans for that spot. 3 wide, almost 4 wide further back. That was Dylan Young I saw back there. Hopefully they settle that out without any incident. That's 3 wide for second position. Oh, we got a wreck in the back there. Right in the middle of the pack. I believe I saw the 78 of Ryan Butcher turned around, and the whole outside line was blockaded up. That's going to be our first caution of the afternoon, as it's a drag race back to the line for second behind race leader Roberto Crown Jr., and it's going to go to Rob Evans on the inside line. Ryan Butcher has been having a really good last couple of weeks. 21st in points, but he was the first driver that I saw sideways back there. There you see the skid marks off of turn 2. Let's try and find out all of who was involved. Dylan Poteet on pit lane, former winner on the season, 6th in overall points. Oh man, James Qualls. Back-to-back victories at Dover and Iowa these past 2 weeks. And he's got some damage on that Castrol GTX Chevrolet. Connor Breton, another 2-time winner, has got some damage. And they're all stacking up right here. I'm not sure what's going on the back straightaway. Matt Haas has got some damage. There's Ryan Butcher. Joshua Osborne coming up his runner-up finish last week in the 1-2 finish for the Joanna Atwood Motorsports Chevys. All three of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports cars actually finished inside the top 5. It looks like Poteet's probably going to lose a lap. I believe there's an entire right front fender that is missing off that car. So he definitely took some kind of a shot here, as we got some drivers coming to pit road and topping off. Other drivers electing to stay out and keep the track position. Let's go back and take a look at what happened. A lot of drivers that have been having good seasons involved in this one. And we're going to move up here to the 78 of Ryan Butcher, who's going to get the 61 of Anthony McCrory, who had a great qualifying effort here yesterday. Butcher's getting shoved into the corner by Chris Dollerton. He actually literally got shoved into McCrory, so McCrory spun out. That's what brought out the yellow. And then this, as they were 4 wide, Osborne pushes up into Ormond, who then pushes up into, I believe that was Quentin Moore. And James Qualls is the one that ends up turned around on the back straightaway, but a number of drivers trying to shove their way through ended up getting damage as well. So 1 week from all 3 of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports cars finishing in the top 5, I believe all 3 of them got involved in this wreck. Here's a look with it focused on the 70 of Qualls. It's actually Qualls that pushed up into Ormond, into Osborne. And Will Goss, Destin Bolin, maybe Nick Gunther, Matt Haas, they all definitely got some damage. You saw that fender right there in the back straightaway. That was actually from Dylan Poteet. Let's see who he hits that ends up causing that right front to get shredded. We'll focus on the 31 to be able to get an idea. Right there. Got into the left rear quarter panel of the 8 of Matt Haas. And it just ripped that fender off of his race car. He had to come down pit road right then and there. And I believe he's lost a lap as a result. Should get the 1 to green signal this time by and be able to restart on lap 7. Roberto Crown Jr. out in front. Trying to become yet another non-charter driver to go to victory lane. We've already had Kyler Sustre and Matthew Rodriguez be able to do it. And Roberto Crown Jr. is looking to be the 3rd driver to do so here in Season 7. Rob Evans will line up behind him in the 2nd position. Benjamin Miles in 3rd. Michael Norman and Caleb Vogler are going to be the top 5. Casey Hoyt is up to 6th. Jesse Turner in 7th. 8th place be Keith Batson. 9th, Dylan Young. And Mitchell Collins currently completes the top 10. After everything we saw take place there on the back straightaway, nobody out of the race. Number of drivers spend a little extra time on pit road getting damage repaired, and 41 of our 42 drivers on the lead lap. Poteet the only one a lap down because of having to come to pit road there prior to the leaders coming around to take the yellow. They lapped him just before they came to receive the caution. Green flag set to fly once again here as they head to the start-finish line. Roberto Crown Jr. receiving the green. And we're already looking 3 wide for 2nd place. Benjamin Miles to the inside of Rob Evans. Michael Norman was looking at the lower groove 3 wide through 1 and 2. Looks like Rob Evans may hold on to the spot. As Michael Norman shooting up the middle there. Caleb Vogler on the outside. Benjamin Miles on the inside. They'll settle it from 3 wide to double wide. Now it will be Miles and Norman side by side for 3rd place. As soon as I say that, Vogler going to shoot up the middle. Here comes Keith Batson on the inside line. That's the beauty of Chicago Motor Speedway. A lot of different lanes to be able to run. Really, in these corners, it all comes down to how brave are you to drive it in deep. Not a lot of banking to be able to lean on. So if you overshoot, you're going to really overshoot. And it's going to cost you a lot of positions. So it's kind of the ultimate risk versus reward. As Roberto Crown Jr. continues to show the way out in front. Remember when Roberto Crown Jr. ended up winning here at this very racetrack 2 seasons ago, he did it in a Toyota Camry out of Auto Junction Racing, but granted, that was the year before they moved over to the next-gen cars. This is the first time that Roberto Crown Jr. has ever made green flag laps in a Duracell Cup Series race in a next-gen car. Of course, Roberto Crown Jr. having the opportunity to be able to come over here this week and attempt to qualify in a Cup car, with the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers being off for a couple of weeks. This week, it's all about the Cup drivers. Next week, it'll be another Cup weekend at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And then the following week, the Lights drivers come back as they'll join the Cup Series drivers in what should be a very interesting road course weekend, as we will be running internationally at the Suzuka Road Course. Now let's check and see about drivers that were involved in our only caution up to this point. How up to speed are they? As we've got some drivers on pit lane. Anthony McCrory, Kyler Sustre, I believe that was Nathan Ormond as well. I can't see how these would be regularly scheduled stops. It's too early for them, but maybe we had something happen under the green flag run that we're going to have to show via the NNSCRA split cam. That may not have necessarily brought out a yellow. We know Anthony got that rear end damage after he got spun by Ryan Butcher, bringing out the first yellow flag. But as far as Kyler Sustre and Nathan Ormond, I'm not certain of the reasoning of them coming to pit road. Matt Haas, he's the one that got hit in the left rear by Dylan Poteet. He's back here. Will Goss as well. James Qualls coming off that victory. They took the rear bumper off of Ryan Butcher, who's trying to look up the middle three wide with Destin Bolin and Quentin Moore. Connor Breton, they've taken the whole hood off of his Vitamin Water Chevrolet. These are all drivers outside of the top 30 right now in the running order. And some of those ones that really are kind of highlight drivers. James Qualls coming off his 2 straight victories. Matt Haas trying to get his season turned around there. Ryan Butcher, who's been on a tear as of late, picked up 8 spots in the standings last week after Iowa. Was 21st in points coming into this one. And Will Goss, 8th in the point standings coming into this race. Not looking like he's going to have a good points day, as Kyler Sustre has been put 2 laps down to the race leader, Roberto Crown Jr. Rob Evans still holding on to second. Here's the battle for third between Benjamin Miles and Michael Norman. Anthony McCrory has lost a lap after the green flag pit stop he just made. Same for Nathan Ormond. Dylan Poteet, who lost a lap just after the caution flew for the first time. He's been able to pick up a couple of spots. He's been able to bypass Kyler Sustre, and he also is running ahead of Nathan Ormond. So Poteet has been able to move from 42nd up to 40th, and now drops back to the 41st position. I believe he and Ormond are actually duking it out for position right now. Yeah, there's the 23. Just made his way around the 31 to take 40th place back. Norman completed the pass around Benjamin Miles, moved him up to the 3rd spot. Incredibly, when you look back at last year, Michael Norman was a 3-time winner. 2 of those wins took place during the playoffs, let's not forget. But 17 races into this season, and Michael Norman not only is in the 28th position in points, but he's only got 1 top 5 so far this year. That is the kind of outlying statistic right there. You know, there's a lot of big-name drivers that haven't gone to victory lane, so we're not going to hold that against him after his 3 victories last year. But the fact he only has 1 top 5, that is incredible that he only has 1 in 17 races. Jesse Turner has moved his way up into the 5th position. Keep an eye on Turner. Had a good run last week at Iowa. Gained a spot in the standings last week. Moved up to 3rd in overall points. He's only 26 points out of the points lead as well. You know, before James Qualls went on the tear he did last week at Iowa. We were looking at Jesse Turner as maybe one of the favorites to take the checkered flag, and he is still chasing Jose Mills for most winningest driver in the Duracell Cup Series. 2 wins away, sitting at 8 to Mills' 10. He's going to give way to Keith Batson in the 39. Batson going to try and take the 5th position. Turner will battle back, though, on that outside line, and he'll keep the spot. Nice power move there out of the Air Force Ford Mustang. Keith Batson, another driver you got to keep an eye on that has really been consistent here the last couple of weeks. Ever since he got that runner-up finish at M&M Super Speedway, he then had a top 5 run the following week. And he comes into this race 11th in overall points, 14 points below the cut line, to try and advance his way into a playoff position via top 10 in points. Another driver that's also seeming to make some moves towards top 10 in the standings would be Mitchell Collins, currently running in 7th. Collins last week jumped up 4 spots in the standings to 13th. He is currently a total of 18 points below the 10th in the standings cut line. One of our former winners here at this racetrack, RJ Bishop, really wants to get a good run here today. Really needs a good run, as he's sitting 38th in the point standing. He's going to try and swing around the outside of Mitchell Collins for 7th. Young Motorsports actually has 2 victories here at this racetrack, and remember, the team owner, Dylan Young, is a Chicago native, resides in Florida, but his roots are in Chicago, so would certainly love to see a 3rd victory for his team here at one of his home tracks, this in Chicagoland up in this area. Michael Norman's on the move. We saw him make the pass on Benjamin Miles relatively easily, and now he is going to work on Rob Evans for the runner-up spot. This is going to be very similar to what we saw at Dover and at Iowa. Keeping an eye on which cars are the best on the long run. And I think with what we're seeing here, Michael Norman and Jesse Turner, maybe throw Keith Batson into that mix as well, they seem to be some of the best cars on the long run. But catching him's one thing, passing him's another. Michael Norman continuing to try and get around the 9D Creative Chevrolet. And then once he's done that, he's going to have to deal with some lap traffic. Dylan Poteet up ahead in the 31 as, I thought Norman was going to get him cleared. And now he will. Able to get back to the throttle through the center of the corner, and Norman will move up to P2. But he will have to get around Dylan Poteet and Kyler Sustre before he can focus on the race leader, Roberto Crowd Jr., who started this race from the outside of the front row, has led every lap so far. About to put lap 25 on the board, completing lap 24. Don't know if it's going to happen or not, especially if we end up getting the field spread out even more with a round of green flag pit stops. But I'm looking at the tail end of the field right now. Will Goss, Matt Haas, a couple of those others, they're only running about 10 seconds, 11 seconds ahead of the race leaders. Or the race leader, I should say. They may get reeled in. But those that may be wondering as well, noticing that the 80 of Roberto Crown Jr. is running rookie stripes. Might be wondering, well, why is he running rookie stripes? He is rookie eligible. Because remember, during that 5th season, each driver, each of the 3 drivers, only made a total of 12 starts. Unless you have made 15 career starts in Duracell Cup Series competition, you are rookie eligible. So, Roberto Crown Jr. donning the rookie stripes here. I believe this is the last race he is slated to try and qualify for, so this would only be his 13th career start, which means if he were able to find a full-time ride in the Cup Series next season, he would still be eligible to run for Rookie of the Year. But first things first for Roberto Crown Jr., he's got his focus in the Duracell Ultra Light Series. Trying to win that championship, which gets him a guaranteed ride in next year's Duracell Next Gen Cup Series field. looking at lap times right here between Roberto Crown Jr. and Michael Norman, and they are all in the camp of Roberto Crown Jr. He is gaining almost half a second every lap over Michael Norman. Last time by, Michael ran a 32.5. Roberto Crown Jr. ran a 32.1. There's nobody else in the field that are turning lap times as good as Roberto Crown Jr. is right now. Just ran another 32.1, a 32.145. As I mentioned, it's gonna be the last start for Roberto Crown Jr. here this season, or at least his last attempt up to this point, unless he gets slated for a couple more races throughout the rest of the season. But a lot of people might be wondering, well, when Matthew Rodriguez went to victory lane at Daytona, went from a part-time ride to a full-time ride, what would this mean for Roberto Crown Jr.? Well, pretty much it would only mean that he's your winner here at Chicago Motor Speedway. It wouldn't have any playoff implications, especially with the fact you consider that at the conclusion of this race, if Roberto Crown Jr. gets max points, he would only have a total of 8 races left to make up nearly 400 points, which is virtually mathematically impossible to do. So it will be a celebration for Roberto Crown Jr. if he's able to close out the deal here today. Obviously, we're not even halfway, so I can't give the checkered flag to him just yet. But in the speculation that he does end up winning this race, it would not have any implications towards the playoffs itself. Third place under contest, Keith Batson has reeled in Rob Evans, as Evans was trying to keep in touch with Michael Norman. Well, we saw these drivers really brave, throwing it into the corner in the early going on the fresh tires. Now with the older tires, that lack of grip, when you get on the brakes, these drivers have to be a little bit more timid, a little bit more cautious. Batson throwing it in there into turn 1. Looks to get alongside of Rob Evans. We'll keep following this, as I noticed there was also some good battling going on in the middle portion of the top 10 between R.J. Bishop, Jesse Turner, and Casey Hoyt around the 8th, 9th, 10th positions. Looks like this battle has settled down a little bit, so let's drop back to that said battle. R.J. Bishop on the move. He's now going to try and get around Benjamin Miles. This is for 6th place. Bishop had just literally a couple of laps ago gotten around Jesse Turner to move up into 7th, and now picks up another spot there into 6th. Jesse Turner starting to fall back a bit there. He's lost a spot to his teammate Casey Hoyt. And Charles Sanford has moved his way up into the top 10 now. In the Coca-Cola Chevrolet, the defending champion. Looking to climb his way up in the point standings and defend his title here in Season 7. Caution's out. I thought I saw the flagman waving something, but I wanted to wait until I saw either the lights go on or our broadcast indicator. I think Kyler Sustre actually was able to get ahead of Roberto Crown Jr. right there. So Sustre battled to get one of his 2 laps back the hard way. He'll now only be 1 lap down on this upcoming restart, I believe. As, what's going on here? Maybe some drivers have taken the caution and others hadn't. Roberto Crown Jr. waiting for the pace car to pick him up. Not certain what the yellow flew for, though, or who the yellow flew for. There's some damage on Reese Banks. I don't know if maybe it was him that brought out this yellow. As pits are open, and you can bet your bottom dollar everybody's going to be on pit road here after that long green flag run of about 30 laps. We'll document the fallout of the pit stops and where everybody's going to line up for the upcoming restart. As we go back and take a look at what brought out this yellow. I was looking around the vicinity of Reese Banks. He was not the reason for the yellow. Oh, so we had a couple of Fords get together in what was a battle for 13th, 14th place. Dylan Young and Levi McIntyre. Dylan Young here at one of his home tracks. And it looks like Levi throws it in, gets him in the right rear quarter panel, and just hooks him up into the wall. Both drivers up and into the outside wall there. Gonna lose out on a lot of track position. Both gonna have to deal with some damage here. A couple of former winners on the season. Get some pretty good shots there. Into the wall over into turn 3. Here's another look at it. Like Dylan Young threw a block right there on Levi. Well, that's a pretty good shot. Those aren't safer barriers up there. So any impact you take into that outside wall is going to probably do more damage here than it would at other tracks where the safer barriers are installed. So tough break there for Dylan Young and Levi McIntyre both, as they've been very much in the conversation right around that 10th in the standings cut line of advancing in either through top 10 in points or through a wild card spot. Right now, Levi's in the top 10. Dylan Young is the first race winner outside of the top 10 in 12th. And Levi only had a 14-point cushion between himself and the cut line coming into this race. So depending on how badly the damage was for him, he could find himself outside of the top 10 in points and having to be in a wild card spot heading into next week when we head to the Northeast New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Magic Mile. Levi's a former winner there, as a matter of fact. As lights are out atop the pace car, we're going to get the restart with 50 laps to go. Well, they run about 30-second, a little over 30-second lap times, but it's feel like this race has been going relatively slow, even though we're only working our second caution of the day. All 42 drivers that started this race are still running, 38 of them on the lead lap. Anthony McCurry, Nathan Norman, Kyler Sustre all 1 lap down each. Dylan Pote lost a second lap there under green, so he is 2 laps down in the 42nd position. Roberto Crown Jr. going to have Michael Norman right behind him in second. Rob Evans, Keith Batts, and Mitchell Collins, the top 5. Benjamin Miles will be 6th. RJ Bishop 7th. Casey Hoyt, Jesse Turner, and Charles Sanford is going to be the top 10. How about S3 Motorsports? You got Sanford in 10th, Shelton 11th, Matthews 12th, and Deaver in 14th, just behind Caleb Fogler. So all 4 of them up inside the top 15 right now. As we go back green, Roberto Crown Jr. continues to show the way. He has led all 38 laps so far, but we saw Michael Norman work his way up through the field to second place. Now the gap has been closed up between himself and Roberto Crown Jr., and he may have something to say about this race lead. Little higher entry there for Michael Norman going into 3. Might have thought he could cross over to the inside of Roberto Crown Jr. for the top spot. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Battle is on for 5th. RJ Bishop, Keith Batson. Bishop will move up into the top 5. As ahead of him, Mitchell Collins going to work on Rob Evans for the 3rd spot. Looks like the pole sitter's going to hold him off for now. Collins going to drive it in deep again, get to the left rear quarter panel. Can he get back to the throttle here off of corner exit? Dead heat between the two down to the start-finish line. I think Evans might have just barely edged him out on that outside line. Evans throws it in on the top side. Collins gonna clear, though, through the center of the corner, and he'll move into P3. RJ Bishop, another fellow Blue Oval, right behind there in the 4th position. Well, right now the 5th position, looking for 4th. Looking to follow Mitchell Collins right on through. As Rob Evans kind of stuck up there on that top side here for the time being. Gonna find his way back to the bottom. Jesse Turner right behind them, battling with Keith Batson. That's for 6th. And now he looks for 5th after Bishop completes the pass on Evans. Jesse Turner will fill that gap on the bottom. Michael Norman has not let Roberto Crown Jr. get away, and he's starting to put the pressure on him. So Roberto Crown Jr., you see him kind of blocking that low line there, moving down about a groove off the wall, not allowing Michael Norman any opportunity to try and show the nose midway down the front straightaway. Michael had to lift there on entry. He's going to lose a little bit of ground. Obviously, clean air going to come into play here as well in terms of the downforce, the turnability of the car through the center of the corner. But I think as this run goes on, if we continue to trend the way we did in that first run, Roberto Crown Jr. is going to have Michael Norman on his bumper for many more laps than this. It was around 10 laps into the run that Michael Norman's car started coming to life and working its way towards the front of the field. Now granted, we didn't get to see him versus Roberto Crown Jr. since there was a huge gap, and we documented that after Michael had moved his way up to second, the lap time differences were almost a half second in favor of the 80, but could have been some adjustments made on both those race cars during that pit stop under caution. I mentioned about the S3 Motorsports all restarting up inside of the top 15 there. Jessica Shelton has now cracked the top 10. Shelton coming to this one measly point above the 30th in the standings cut line. The two-time winner at Chicagoland and M&M Superspeedway needs points to get away from that cut line to keep herself firmly in that conversation for a wild card position. Now making a move to the inside of her teammate Charles Sanford. Good run for Jessica Shelton here today. Caleb Vogler right behind her in the 28. Let's look right now. Jessica Shelton, drivers that she has to worry about, down around her in the top 30 in points. Kylie Sustre currently a lap down. Connor Breton at the back of the pack with no hood. Cody Lamas, I'm not sure where he's running right now. Cody is currently scored in 21st. Matthew Rodriguez not in the field. Matt McIntyre nowhere to be found. He's currently back in 30th, so Shelton looks in pretty good shape right now to have a bit of a cushion over that 30th in the standings cut line going into New Hampshire as RJ Bishop battling with Rob Evans. This would be for 5th place. Keith Batson right there as well. Casey Hoyt starting to join this stack up. Further up, teammates for 2nd. Joe Collins on the bottom. Michael Norman on the top. Roberto Crown Jr.'s got to love this because it's going to be slowing them up. Looks like Michael Norman's going to give up the spot. Says, all right, you got a faster car there, teammate. You go up there and try and see if you can battle with the 80. And Jesse Turner now closes up on this group. And he'll look to take advantage to move into 3rd on Michael Norman, who couldn't close the door in time after Collins was able to slip through, and Turner easily makes the pass there on Michael Norman. So now a new face in the rearview mirror of the Beyblade Toyota Camry. It will be Mitchell Collins in the 33, looking for his first victory on the season. A win for Collins would put him directly in the wild card conversation, maybe, depending on the amount of points he'd be able to get today, put him into the top 10 in the point standings. RJ Bishop completed the pass around Rob Evans. Evans crosses him over. This is the ongoing 5th place battle. And Evans going to draw even off of turn 2. Bishop looks to get the run off the corner. Evans is still there. Does Bishop try and go down and block? Yes, he does. Evans not able to get back through the throttle there through the center of 3 and 4, so Bishop will hang on to the 5th position. First appearance in the top 10 here since the restart for Carson Gum. Carson qualified in the Fast 10 here yesterday. Faded back, and now we see him making his way back up towards the front in that Chevrolet. Carson 22nd in overall points coming to this one. Another driver that is still looking for his first top 5 on the season. I believe we documented this yesterday. We have a total of, I believe it was 6 full-time drivers that have yet to score a top 5 this season. No, 5 drivers. 5 full-time drivers that have not scored a top 5 yet this season in these first 17 races. We had a lead change there. Apologies. We did not see it take place. Jesse Turner has gone to the front ahead of Roberto Crown Jr. That is your first lead change of the day, and it takes place on lap 51. Roberto Crown Jr. has led all the way up to this point, but Jesse Turner wrestles the lead away, and now he's trying to open up some daylight back to second place. But those 5 drivers that are still searching for their first top 5s on the season: Carson Gum, Cole Deaver, Matt Haas, Benjamin Miles, and Nick Gunther. Well, Jesse Turner, as we mentioned last week, was very much in the conversation in the first half of that race, maybe picking up the victory and closing up the gap between himself and Jose Mills for most career wins in the Duracell Cup Series. Might have felt he let one get away last week, and not wanting the same repeat here this week. Strong effort out of this machine here today, and right now he is opening up nearly a 1.5-second gap back to this ongoing battle for second place, which is between Crown Jr., the former leader, and Mitchell Collins. Collins gonna try and get to the inside here off of turn 2, can't get back to the throttle. So we have yet to see these drivers make a round of green flag pit stops. I'm not sure how close they were when that second caution came out. We had run about 30 laps at that point in time. We got the restart with 50 laps to go. So I would assume they can't make it the rest of the way on what they've got in the tank. And if tire fall-off is anything to go by, I don't know if really there's a whole lot of it. We went back green on, what, lap 39, so we've been about 17 laps in this run. We're nearing about 20 laps on this run. And Jesse Turner, that last time by, only ran about 4/10 slower than his fastest lap. Let's see about this time by. Yeah, only about half a second. So it's not a super huge amount of fall off like I would have expected, especially with, as I mentioned, it's not a whole lot of banking here in the corners. It's progressive banking, but there's not a lot of it. So you would certainly think the tires would wear an awful lot, and the speeds would decrease as a result. It doesn't appear to be the case. You look here, though, at Roberto Crown Jr., and granted, he's been battling side by side with Mitchell Collins. There's about a 1 2/10 fall off on his last lap to his fastest lap. And remember, he spent 50 laps out in clean air. Mitchell Collins keeps on trying to get that second spot. He might be a little bit faster than Roberto Crown Jr., but the 80 keeps getting that preferred outside line. Pinches the 33 down. He can't get back to the throttle as it tightens up on him, and Collins has to keep trying over and over again. As RJ Bishop on the move. Just got around Michael Norman, move him up into the 4th position. And Rob Evans going to swing around the outside of the 22. He'll go into 5th. Some more drivers starting to make their way up here towards the top 10. Jose Mills, you got to think he's being told. The 47 took the race lead. And now he's holding down the 12th position, looking for more on the back bumper of Keith Batson. Cody Lamas having a good run here today. Right now in the 14th position. Coming into this race 30th in the standings. Has taken maybe the biggest plummet of any driver in the last 3 weeks point standings wise. This is a guy that going into the All-Star break we were talking about battling for a spot potentially up inside the top 10 in the standings. And whether it's been poor performance or just plain old bad luck, Cody Lamas has not been on a good trend as of late. Good side-by-side battling here in the top 10. Casey Hoyt looking for a spot on Caleb Fogler. That's, I believe, the battle for 8th place. Wow, Fogler right down on the passenger side door of Casey Hoyt there through 1 and 2. And a great year there for Caleb Fogler. Got his first career win last year in his first full-time season with Blue Oval Automotive. They re-signed him this year. Got that checkered flag early in the year. He's been up there in the conversation for one of the top-seeded wildcard spots. He's also right there in the conversation for getting up in the top 10 in overall points as well. He's only 19 points below the cut line. So that was a very low entry there for Casey Hoyt on the inside of Jessica Shelton. Got his left sides down there on the apron, which is not out of bounds, by the way, for those that might have been wondering. Fogler now going to try and make a pass on Michael Norman. So we saw Norman very strong there on that first run, but he has gotten shuffled back and is in danger of falling outside of the top 10 now. Leaders have caught some traffic. That was Dylan Poteet, who Jesse Turner made very quick work with, but it has stacked things up for second place, and Carson Gum is taking advantage. It was a battle between Collins and Crown Jr. for the runner-up spot. Now Carson Gum and RJ Bishop have entered into this battle as well, and this is all going on nearly 6 seconds behind the race leader Jesse Turner. There is the 47 of Turner. Let's check and see what his path looks like right now, because I am noticing that the gap between him and tail end of the lead lap car, Zachary Fitzwater, is rapidly closing. Not sure what's going on with Fitzwater. I don't remember seeing him involved in the stack-up wreck that we had on the back straightaway with the wreck off of 2, our first yellow of the day, but maybe he did get some damage. Obviously off the pace. He's running behind drivers that we know were damaged from incidents earlier on this afternoon. Ryan Butcher, Dylan Young, Matt Haas, Will Goss. We know they all have damage. Connor Breton. So I'm not sure what is up exactly with the 66, but not the run he's going to be looking for here today. Currently running in 38th position and came into this race in the, I believe it was third wild card slot. 17th in overall points. Carson Gum completed the pass around Mitchell Collins, move him up to the runner-up spot. Collins drops back to 3rd. RJ Bishop there in 4th, and remember I told you we couldn't give the win away to Roberto Crown Jr. despite it was looking like he was the dominant car of the day. Look what's happened here about 30 laps later. He's back in the 5th position. Still going to be a good day for him at this point in time, but like I said, in Duracell Cup Series, you can never say never. And I've been guilty of that a couple of times this season, and been made to look foolish because of it. Back to that Chicagoland race where I thought I was calling the winner right down to the line, and all of a sudden I look and Jessica Shelton sitting there P1. We had to go back and actually look at Shelton winning the race via a replay because I wasn't able to bring it to you live, so I didn't check the scoring. Closing in on 20 laps to go here. And I still think pit road is going to be in use before the conclusion of this one. Cannot confirm that, but I believe it's going to be. And the thing of it is, you know, I'm looking at maybe a second fall off for most of these drivers right now. If you're Carson Gum or Mitchell Collins, yeah, you'd love to come to pit road. You'd love to undercut the race leader and gain that second and a half, but you got to make up 5.5 seconds. So that cuts it down to about 4 seconds. It's a gain, but it's not enough of a gain. I want to look at lap times here between Carson Gum and Jesse Turner, because Carson has pulled away from Mitchell Collins. Last time by, Carson ran a 32.462. And the leader ran a 32.767. Carson's closing. In terms of lap times, Carson Gum is reeling in the race leader, so this is not over just yet. And Jesse Turner is going to have to deal with traffic here, which is going to help Carson Gum out even more. This time by 32.702. Carson, 32.594, so about a tenth he gained right there. Little by little, he's chiseling away. And Turner is going to have to deal with traffic here. So Carson Gum might have something for Jesse Turner before all is said and done. He's definitely got the laps to work with, as we're just under 20 to go. And Turner will have to be dealing with traffic here. Zachary Fitzwater going to go a lap down. He's going to battle to stay on this tail end of the lead lap. This is taking away the optimal racing line for Jesse Turner. That is helping Carson Gum to be able to continue to try and run Q laps to reel him in. That last time by, though, it looked like Turner actually was a little bit faster, about 0.3 faster than Carson Gum. I don't know if he got a little bit of a toe off the back of the 66 or not. Probably he'll lose those 0.3 this lap, though. 33.165, and Carson 32.526. So yeah, that's 0.6 gained right there. So he gained 0.3 just to lose 0.6 in that battle. He does, however, the good news for Jesse Turner, have the lap car of Jesse Turner between himself and Carson Gum. So when Carson encounters the 66, depending on how quickly he can get around him, he'll end up losing a little bit of ground to the 47. It's kind of a trade-off of who can get around the traffic best. And I'm hearing more engines up ahead here for Jesse Turner. Doesn't look like they're near close, but you definitely could hear them. Making their way out of turn number 2 right now. Ryan Butcher, Anthony McCrory, Connor Breton, and others. Is Butcher coming to pit road? I think he is. Let's follow our leader, because he might be coming to pit lane. Yeah, we got a pit stop cycle beginning here. Closing in on 10 to go. It's about 15 to go right now. Jesse Turner has hit the pit lane from the lead. Who stays out? Who comes in? Looks like Carson Gum's coming down pit lane. Mitchell Collins is in. RJ Bishop. Caleb Fogler's going to stay out an extra lap. So the 28, who already has a win in the bank, trying to play some strategy here to gain track position. I don't think this is going to be a race-winning move, but it could net him a top 5. Fogler was running around the 8th, 9th position before the pit stop cycle. He'll also maybe come down a less congested pit road here. As he makes the dive onto pit lane, Jessica Schulten also stayed out. Another driver that's got a couple wins in the bank, so why not play some strategy? Lap car of Kyler Sustrate's coming in. Cole Deaver stayed out an extra lap, and he's in this time. Chris Dollerton coming off some really good performances the last couple of weeks, including a top 5 last week at Iowa, 19th in points, and a bunch of drivers there towards the back. Voiles and Brommer and Miles, Ormond, McIntyre, Matthews, all on pit lane. Got to think this is all going to cycle back around here to the 47 of Jesse Turner, if we can get to him. There he is. And I think Carson Gum is going to cycle into second. It was hard to tell there. I saw Carson in the same shot as the 47, but I don't know if he closed up the gap or not. I think the gap between those two was about 5.1 seconds at the start of the green flag pit stops. We'll see if it increased or decreased as we'll wait this time around. I think that Jesse Turner should cycle back up to the top of the leaderboard. Carson Gum did not cycle out ahead of the lap car of Zachary Fitzwater. He'll try and make the pass right here. And he's going to have to take some time. That's going to be unfortunate with the fresh tires, too. Oh, he had to lift right there. Had to check up off of turn 2. That is all good news for Jesse Turner, who's got about a full straightaway back to Carson Gum and the lap car of Fitzwater to boot. Closing in on 10 laps to go. About 12 to go right here. Traffic up ahead for the leader to have to deal with. That is Joshua Osborne, last week's runner-up finisher. You know, kind of impressive. I'm looking at some... I think that the field is completely cycled around now. And there were some drivers that I kind of counted out that I thought had some damage from the first caution. And they are right now looking like they're going to salvage some pretty good performances. James Qualls was one of those drivers, and looks like he's up and around the 23rd, 24th spot. Matt Haas right now around 30th. Levi McIntyre, who was involved in the second yellow, up in 28th. I know that doesn't sound like much, but those positions I just named off are a heck of a lot better than 38th, 39th, 40th. As traffic for Turner here, Anthony McCrory, who is a teammate to Carson Gum, remember. Anthony out of the Mazda side of that stable, but Carson Gum, a fellow teammate out of the Chevy side. And now Turner going to have to deal with Joshua Osborne. Carson Gum has gotten around the 66 of Fitzwater. He has closed the gap up to less than 4 seconds. Got to think if Carson gets to Anthony, Anthony will probably be letting the 19 on by, allowing him to try to get up here and battle for this race win. Carson needs some help with this traffic, and he also needs these laps not to tick away so quickly. Next time by will be 8 to go. Jesse Turner ran a 33.0 there in traffic. Carson Gum ran a 32.4, 0.6 of a second gained right there on that lap. And it looks like Turner has lost some ground there to Joshua Osborne. Might be hanging back, might be saving a little bit here, just in case Carson Gum does get up to him. Now he has something to be able to fight with in terms of tire grip. There you see Carson making his way off of turn 4. Mitchell Collins in the 3rd spot. RJ Bishop may have thoughts about that in the closing stages. That's 3rd and 4th, catching up to the slower car of Zachary Fitzwater. Roberto Crown Jr. under fire from Matt McIntyre. McIntyre is a lap down, however. So this is not for position, but if Matt McIntyre opens up the door on the bottom, Rob Evans in 6th and Jessica Shelton in 7th might look to capitalize. Charles Sanford looking for 8th, which currently is being held by Caleb Fogler. Sanford right now in 9th, and Austin LaPlante, another great run for the Northeast Motorsports driver. Currently in the 10th position, his teammate Reggie Fogelman right there with him as well in 11th spot. Cody Lamas right now in 12th. Norman in 13th. Zach Rogers is up in 14th place, so a couple of the Evans Motorsports Chevrolets having some good runs here this afternoon, and Jose Mills currently is in the 15th position. 3 wide here, Shelton. 4th position on Rob Evans, putting the lap car of Matt McIntyre in the middle. This is tight, and Shelton's going to get a twofer. Evans and Roberto Crown Jr. And Shelton will move up to the 5th spot. That was a power move right there. Carson Gum not closing up nearly as quickly as he would like to on Jesse Turner. He's cut it down to 2.5 seconds, but the laps are winding down. Jesse Turner looking for his 9th career victory in the Duracell Cup Series, which would tie him for 2nd overall with Jordan Lopez, put him 1 behind the 10 career victories of Jose Mills. 50 laps led so far today by Roberto Crown Jr. That will be the most this afternoon. Jesse Turner so far has led 32 laps. The only other driver that's been out in front here today has been Caleb Fogler for 1 lap. So it has been a rather stingy race for Roberto Crown Jr. in the first half. Jesse Turner here in the second half. And Turner's going to have more traffic to deal with. That is Dylan Poteet, another teammate to the 19 of Carson Gum, who has kind of leveled out with Turner. It's still about 2.5 seconds, and still got the lap car of Anthony McCrory between the two of them. Turner going to try and make very quick work here of Dylan Poteet. Going into 3 and 4, Poteet going to check him up. Turner can't make the pass. And Carson Gum is closing up. Gained another 0.2 that last time by. We'll have to see about this time by. Turner drives it in deep on Poteet, who is off the pace, so this should be a relatively simple pass for Turner. But again, he doesn't have the advantage of the outside line like Poteet does. Carson visibly is closing up, but I don't know if he's got enough time. Turner's going to complete the pass around Dylan Poteet, and he'll see 2 to go. Now there's 2 machines, 2 teammates in front of Carson Gum, who has closed it down to a 2.5 seconds. It's not going to be for lack of trying, but I don't think Carson Gum's going to have enough time here to be able to catch Jesse Turner. Heck of an attempt there, though, as Jesse Turner finally clears the traffic. He's got about 10 car lengths before he gets to the next machine, which is Joshua Osborne. who looked like he was a little bit faster than Jesse Turner anyways. And Jesse Turner is going to make his way through 3 and 4, and he's going to see a sight that I think he was expecting to see last week at Dover before James Qualls blew his doors off. White flag in the air for the U.S. Air Force Ford Mustang. It's been a great season for Jesse Turner. 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 3rd in overall points. He's seen his rookie teammate Casey Hoyt go to victory lane twice this season. But Jesse Turner is finally going to get back to victory lane. Carson Gum did clear his teammates, closed it down to just about a second. He needed more laps though. Unfortunately, time just ran out. As off of turn 4, Jesse Turner is going to pick up his first win of the season. It is his 9th career win in the Duracell Cup Series. He takes the checkered flag today at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Another win for Ford here at this racetrack. I believe that is their 4th victory. Field racing back to the checkered flag here. Still a bunch of them racing back to receive the checkered flag, but Jesse Turner will be making the left-hand turn to the infield and victory lane. Carson Gum right there on his back bumper. Carson closed up 4.5 seconds to finish less than half a second behind Jesse Turner there at the close. So close for him. But well done to Jesse Turner. 3rd win on the season for Lake Effect Autosport. 1st win of the season for him. And look out, Jose Mills. Somebody wants that top of the leaderboard in terms of most career victories in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Well, next week at New Hampshire should be a lot of fun after what we saw here today. Jesse Turner leading the last 37 laps of this race en route to the victory. Like we were talking about with James Qualls' consistent season, got that victory at Dover, and we said, yeah, he's pretty much locked into the playoffs. Then he doubles down last week at Iowa, and we're like, oh yeah, he's definitely now in the playoffs. I think we can definitely put Jesse Turner into the pretty sure he's going to make it category as he gets a victory after a very consistent year so far. Carson Gum going to reap some very good benefits points-wise as he brings it home in the 2nd position. RJ Bishop, who won at this racetrack a few seasons ago, he's going to bring it home with a podium in 3rd. Well-needed run for him. Mitchell Collins, is this a bid to get up in the top 10 in points, getting another top 5 run in 4th place? We'll have to wait and see. And Rob Evans is going to bring it home in the 5th position after starting from the pole. Casey Hoyt looked like he was going to make it a battle between those two as to who was going to be the points leader heading into next week's New Hampshire race. He was up in the latter half of the top 10, if just not outside the top 10, but something happened on that final pit stop, and he faded all the way back to 22nd. That is 18 positions that Rob Evans gained on Casey Hoyt. 18 points, I should say. Evans did not lead a lap, so no bonus point comes into play, and Evans was 13 points back, so I think it's another flip-flop at the top of the point standings. I think it is going to be Rob Evans having the points lead heading into next week. I don't think Jesse Turner is going to take the points lead, but he will definitely be in that conversation as well. Remember, he was only 26 points out, 3rd in the standings coming into this one, and he gets the bonus points with the checkered flag today. Jessica Shelton, great run for her. Well needed to get away from that cut line. The 2-time winner brings it home in 6th. Charles Sanford, the defending champion. He's starting to get this season turned around a little bit here. Look out. He might make a last-ditch push there towards the playoffs as he brings it home 7th. Great day for Roberto Crown Jr. Led the first 50 laps of this race. Was looking like the car to beat. Kind of faded back as the day went on. But in his first start of the season, leads the most laps. Started on the outside of the front row and brings it home with a top 10 run of 8th. Austin LaPlante going to bring it home in 9th. Good run for him as he'll stay up in the top 5 in points. And Cody Lamas finally stops the bleeding. Gets a decent run here today inside of the top 10. Michael Norman there in 11th. Zach Rogers, a good run in 12th. 13th for Jose Mills. Reggie Fogelman in 14th. And Caleb Fogler fell back late on that run to finish in the 15th position. See the rest of your finishing results, and a number of drivers have kind of faded back there after the green flag pit stops and after that last run. Cole Deaver was up there inside of the top 15 on that final restart, and he finishes 20th. Keith Batson was up in the conversation in the top 10 in the early going, and he ended up finishing back in 21st. Casey Hoyt, as I mentioned, he was up there, and he fell back to 22nd. Benjamin Miles had a great qualifying effort here today. and he faded all the way back to 25th, so not sure what exactly happened with him. And then obviously not exactly the finish that some drivers that had some good momentum, good positioning and points wanted. James Qualls, 2 weeks removed from his first win on the season, 1 week removed from his second win on the season, 28th position for him. Dustin Bolin, who came into this race 7th in points, 30th is where he'll finish. Ryan Butcher had great momentum coming into this race, 31st place for him. Dylan Young at one of his home tracks was in one of the wild card positions, in the top wild card position, I believe. He's 32nd in the finishing results. Connor Breton going to finish in 33rd. Don't know where this is going to position him. Is this going to have him drop back down into that cut line conversation? Will Goss, top 10 driver in the point standings, 34th. Kyler Sustre. It'll be interesting to see where he cycles out after all this, as he was 25th in points, and he finishes off the lead lap in 39th. And also Dylan Pote finishing last year today, as all drivers reached the conclusion with 36 of them on the lead lap. Pote going to finish out the day in 42nd position. Remember, he lost 3 spots in the standings last week at Iowa. He may lose more here this week. But that's going to do it here from the Chicago Motor Speedway. Jesse Turner becomes yet another different winner on the season. The playoffs grid going to continue to get muddled with these first-time winners on the season, as we still got 8 more races to go before we determine who the 16 drivers are that are going to battle it out in this season's playoffs. But if you guys enjoyed today's race here from the Chicago Motor Speedway, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe and become part of the crew today. We have shown you full fishing results, and you're now looking at your point standings, as next week it's just a couple drivers again. We'll be up northeast at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Somebody will be looking to have a little magic at the Magic Mile. Cup qualifying will take place on Saturday afternoon, and the main event will be on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us for that, and thanks for tuning in to today's race from the Chicago Motor Speedway. And you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.